Good morning, Bradley here. Just have a few albums to show you today. Haven't bought a lot lately. Had to get a new mower and a new trimmer and a new blower. So that's where my funds have been diverted lately. Anyhow, the first two albums I bought from Acoustic Sounds from their website. And this first one, Steve Carlson showed it a couple weeks ago. It's a classical record, 2 discs in here, and it's at 45 RPM. This is Beethoven Symphony No. 6 in F major, and it's conducted by Bruno Vulcha, and he's conducting the Columbia Symphony Orchestra. I'm not sure when this was put out, probably 1958. And Steve commented, he said, this is a really, really good sounding recording. And I agree. It is ungodly. Sounds gorgeous. I've been getting some classical music albums, and the only thing is sometimes they might have little ticks or pops in them, you know, like a normal album. And in classical music, that really distracts me sometimes. Now these are just purely clean, absolutely great sounding recordings. It's a Columbia Masterworks label there. So this is an amazing, amazing sounding album. And I do like it when they put in little inserts, Acoustic Sounds, put in their little pamphlet advertising their other albums, Living Stereo, and some of their catalog. I really like those when they put those in. So if you're want to get into classical, that would be an excellent one. Or any of those audiophile classical recordings from Acoustic Sounds. Okay, the second album from Acoustic Sounds. I've had my eyes on this for a long time, and I waited a little too long, as usual. But this is Coltrane sound. This was released on Atlantic in 1962. It's got liner notes by Ralph J. Gleason. Very cool. This was released in 1964, but this was recorded at the same session that My Favorite Things by Coltrane on Atlantic in, when was that, 60 or 61? Somewhere around there. So Atlantic had a lot of past Coltrane that they'd never released, and this is one of those. And of course, a lot of labels did that. If they had a Coltrane in their archives, they would release them. And some of them were okay. They were disjointed usually, going for the quick buck. This was going for the buck, of course, but it's a very cohesive album. A great sounding album. This is also 45 RPM, 2 disc. And it's got the label, Atlantic label, I think at that time. It'd be the blue and green. So this has songs such as The Night Has a Thousand Eyes, fantastic. Central Park West. Coltrane plays soprano on that. All the rest he plays tenor. Liberia, Body and Soul, Equinox, and Satellite is the last song. And McCoy Tyner does not play on that song, which I didn't. I didn't say who played on this. It's Coltrane, McCoy Tyner piano, Steve Davis on bass, and Elvin Jones on drums. Really, I really like Coltrane from this period, among other periods, of course. But I've always had a soft spot for these Atlantic years. Like I said, it sounds fantastic. Now, this was engineered by Tom Dowd at Atlantic, which I think he did all of Coltrane's work at Atlantic. So it's going to sound a little different than Blue Note or Impulse. Not as much reverb, but fantastic compositions. It really does sound good. And I don't know if I mentioned, by this time, 1964, of course, Coltrane was recording for Impulse. He'd been there for 2 or 3 years. So I really like the songs on this album. Very nice. Okay, the third album. If you've seen my videos before, you know I like Snarky Puppy. So this is my third Snarky Puppy album. And this was, I think, 2016 recorded. It's called Culcha, Vulcha by Snarky Puppy. And I will show you the back. Inside. Now, I read a little bit about this name because I wasn't sure what this was. Well, the name is Culcha, Vulcha. And what that is, I think they are getting at a play on words, culture, vulture, which basically is saying culture is eating itself. It's a throwaway culture. Here today, gone tomorrow. And actually, the photo on the back, I think that pretty well describes it. It just shows an old piano, broken down, derelict, probably outside. Culcha, Vulcha. This is has 2 discs in here. Like I said, this is my third Snarky Puppy. I'll briefly show other ones. We Like It Here was my first one, and probably my most favorite. Go on YouTube, just search Snarky Puppy, and they will show a bunch of songs from this album. It was recorded live in the studio. Another Snarky Puppy is Immigrants. This might be their latest. It's from 2019. I never quite got into this. I like We Like It Here and Culcha Vulcha much more. So, Snarky Puppy, they're jazz, funk, fusion. That pretty well describes it. And I will briefly explain. Now, this is a studio album recorded in the studio, which for Snarky Puppy, We Like It Here, that album I just showed before, that was recorded in the studio, a large studio with a studio audience. So you're getting the audience feedback, and all the audience, they wore headphones, so they're listening to this performance, live performance, which is very cool. That's probably why I like that one the best. But this one comes in a close, very close second. And to give an idea of Snarky Puppy's sound, which that's what's been playing in the background, For example, on one of these songs, they usually have more or less around 15 members in this group. People come and go, except for a core group. So for example, on this one song, one guy plays the Moog bass, clarinet, and Fender Rhodes. Another one plays an Omni and a Moog. You have another one playing organ. The leader of the band, Michael League, he plays bass and baritone guitar. You've got 3 guitar players. You've got a trumpet player. You've got another trumpet player. You've got a guy who plays tenor sax and flute. Another tenor sax. You have 2 drummers. And you have 3 percussionists playing various percussive instruments. So I didn't add it up, but it comes close to maybe 14 or 15 musicians. And that's pretty much what Snarky Puppy is. They always had a large group. Like I said, it's jazz, funk, and fusion. I really like this stuff. Sounds very good to my ears. So that's about all I have to show today. I have a couple more albums in the pipeline, maybe. Let me check my bank statement first. But anyhow, that first album I showed, the classical album from Acoustic Sounds. Boy, that sounds amazing. It's really, really good. And all these albums sound good. So, that's all I have to say today. And everybody have a great day, a great week, and enjoy the fine weather. We'll see you.